Hi, everybody. Welcome back to RVASEC 13. It's RVASEC 2024, June 4th to the 5th, Marriott, Richmond. Our next guest, Mr. C. Pressman. He's the president and CTO of Alpine Cyber.com. Mr. C, welcome to the show, my friend.
Thank you for having me, Chuck. I appreciate it.
Now, today's topic is the ABCs of DevSecOps. I have not done a DevSecOps interview for quite a while, since Black Hat, I think. And you know what? I don't often interview CTOs. And I'll tell you why I like interviewing CTOs. The CISOs are going to get mad, but you guys do the work. The CISOs are on the cover of the magazine. They got the boardroom meetings. You guys got to make it work. I'm not half wrong, right? That's kind of the way it goes.
No, you're not wrong.
Yeah.
You're not wrong.
So it's be a good topic to talk about. My take on it is I think it should be called SecOps Dev, because you should put security code first, find out how the thing works, and then you should develop it. I've always thought they do it backwards by putting security. And it's, security kind of comes in at the last minute, right? And says, oh, you don't want security here yet. We'll put it on when we're done. But that's just my personal opinion.
It's funny because there's sort of a culture war in the industry on that, or at least there used to be. People wanted to be SecDevOps and DevSecOps, and it goes back and forth. In reality, all I care about is that you have security in the picture somewhere.
Exactly.
It's better than the olden days when to get security involved was a heavy lift, and now it doesn't have to be, and that's really what we're advocating for here.
Well, it's interesting. I mean, the whole entire internet was based on the premise of trust, wasn't it? There wasn't any security passwords back in the day when it started, so we got off on that foot. We're going to change it, but let's define DevSecOps for people. What does it mean today? Because it's ever-changing environment.
Sure. No, absolutely. So in my eyes, DevSecOps is truly the convergence of the two disciplines of DevOps and security. And really, it does get kind of shoved right there in the middle. And what it comes down to is when you're putting applications into the world, whether they're web apps, mobile apps, or otherwise, there are lots of points in the development process, in the application lifecycle, where security really needs to be included, not just included as an afterthought, but included from the beginning and treated with the seriousness of any other type of security or development or operations discipline. So DevSecOps is truly the convergence of everything in the application lifecycle up through, all the way through from a developer's perspective and an operator's perspective, with a security perspective in there as well, so that when the product gets to production and gets to the point where all the bad guys in the universe are hacking at it and attacking it, that it can withstand the test and not expose the user's data to nefarious actors.
So let's talk about drive defects left. What does that mean nowadays?
So it's a little bit of a buzzword in the industry. In reality, when you think of driving defects left, what that comes down to is, if you think of the application lifecycle as a continuum, the further to, I guess I'm in reverse here on the camera, but the further to the left that everything can be discovered in terms of a security vulnerability, the less expensive it is to fix. If you find a bug or a security vulnerability back when you're declaring your requirements at the very inception of the project, it's going to be very inexpensive to just say, oh, shoot, we better write another requirement that addresses the security vulnerability. On the other side of that spectrum, if you wait all the way until you're at the other end of the spectrum and you're in production, and somebody else finds the bug, or even you discover the bug at that point, well, now you need to disrupt your entire software development lifecycle, inject an interrupt and say, all right, we got to fix this bug right now. Maybe we need to roll back production. Maybe we've already lost data and we need to declare an incident or a breach. It's way more expensive to find those bugs, those defects later in the process. So by driving those defects left, you're truly bringing the price of application development down through just pure cost avoidance at that point.
So my next question is, who is responsible for making application security happen in my company? Now, the better question is, who's responsible for making it not happen and pushing it all the way to the right?
Sure. No, absolutely. And that's a great take on that question for sure. The fact of the matter is, business executives, application owners, product owners, whoever's responsible for the success, the financial success of whatever application it is that we're talking about, they make money on features. They make money on the new hotness too, especially if you're in a competitive landscape. Your revenue is going to come from people using your app. So you're naturally going to want to prioritize new cool stuff over the mundaneness of a maintenance release or a security bug fix. So it's really incumbent upon all of those people. Everyone involved, of course, has a responsibility for ensuring application security. But in the end, it comes down to the information security officer not allowing their role to end at the network border. Too often, a CISO is someone who focuses on the security of the infrastructure or the security of policy or the security of their security program in general. And oh yeah, that application development stuff, that's over somewhere else, or that's taken care of by another organization. No, the fact of the matter is the CISO is absolutely responsible, even if they don't fully comprehend it, for bringing in the resources who do and bringing in the security frameworks that define that DevSecOps rigor that must occur at every step along the software development lifecycle, so that those bugs, those vulnerabilities get treated with the seriousness that they absolutely need to be treated, because it's really where the rubber meets the road. When that application hits the internet and the world starts running its vulnerability scanning against it, and the advanced hackers start trying to poke at the API to look for a verb that wasn't secured, it's really going to come down to that information security officer taking responsibility for making sure that that stuff is controlled.
So I got a quick bonus question for you. Open source code and DevSecOps. Are we rethinking that? I've heard talk about, well, maybe that's not the greatest thing. Maybe we should kind of reevaluate. Are we looking at that differently now?
Yeah, so it's an interesting question. It really comes down to that risk tolerance level. But when you have severe vulnerabilities that have come out, like the Log4j, Log4Shell, and a ton of other components that you didn't even realize when you were using that code that you brought in from your open source, from your third party, whatever it may be, that you were introducing these vulnerabilities that you had absolutely no visibility into. Nobody knew that you were doing something wrong. Looking back, I think it's pretty obvious. But there's a push in the field to do what's called software composition analysis. And software composition analysis is really bringing to bear a set of tools that allow you to look at those dependencies and allows you to look at those third-party pieces of software, especially the open source stuff, and say, okay, show me my entire bill of materials. Show me from soup to nuts what's in this application code, including that third-party stuff that I've always assumed was good enough because everybody's using it. And let me check to make sure it is as good as I think it is. And for those who are particularly risk averse and you have the talent on your team and the budget to do it, people are starting to write their own, but that budget is not insignificant. When you can bring libraries to the table that are going to cut out tens or hundreds of hours of development time, you really have to weigh that cost benefit analysis to say, yeah, I'm going to accept the risk of that third-party open source, perhaps software into my code base, but I'm darn sure going to make sure that I check it and I scan it and I go in there with my eyes wide open and make it part of my vulnerability management program.
Hope springs eternal in the security business. No doubt. Always hope we're going to be better. That's right. Steve Pressman, President, CTO, AlpineCyber.com. Check him out at RVASEC 13. That's RVASEC 2024. The Marriott Richmond, June 4th through the 5th. Wish I could be there, Steve, but next year for sure. Thanks for coming on the show, my friend.
Sounds great. Thanks, Chuck.